The US and Mexico are stepping up their fight against drug cartels, launching unprecedented joint operations, sharing intelligence, and striking vessels carrying narcotics to America. Secretary of State Marco Rubio hails the new security pact as historic. But as authorities plan their next moves, the shadow of cartel violence looms, and a brutal killing of a Mexican TikTok star and her family jolts Guadalajara. The US and Mexico have agreed to strengthen security cooperation against transnational organized crime, fentanyl trafficking, and illegal border crossings, as Secretary of State Marco Rubio met with Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum and Foreign Secretary Juan Ramón de la Fuente to formalize the unprecedented bilateral security collaboration. Rubio said on September 3rd that military operations against cartels would continue, setting the stage for a sustained military campaign in Latin America.
Interdiction doesn't work because these drug cartels, what they do is they know they're going to lose 2% of their cargo. They bake it into their economics. What will stop them is when you blow them up, when you get rid of them. So they were designated as what they are narco-terrorist organizations. So the same information and the same intelligence mechanisms with maybe a higher focus was used to determine that a drug boat was headed towards eventually the United States, and instead of interdicting it on the president's orders, he blew it up. Just briefly, we had an excellent meeting with President Sheinbaum and Foreign Minister de la Fuente. In fact, we've had a great relationship with the government of Mexico during the 8 months of the Trump presidency. It is the closest security cooperation we have ever had, maybe with any country, but certainly in the history of US-Mexico relations.
Referring to striking vessels moving drugs to the US instead of interdicting them, Rubio said,
and it'll happen again. Maybe it's happening right now, I don't know. But the point is, the President of the United States is going to wage war on narco-terrorist organizations. This one was operating in international waters, headed towards the United States to flood our country with poison, and under President Trump, those days are over.
Rubio also praised Mexico for arresting 59 people whom the US government considers to be high-value targets and transporting them to the United States to face drug trafficking charges. The move seems to indicate that the Trump administration could limit unilateral cross-border actions against suspected criminals. President Claudia Sheinbaum of Mexico had made clear that any US incursions would be unacceptable. Trump has signed a directive ordering the Pentagon to take military action against certain Latin American drug cartels that the administration has labeled terrorist organizations. Several large Mexican cartels, including the Sinaloa Cartel and the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, are among the criminal groups in Latin America that the State Department in February designated foreign terrorist organizations. Mexican Foreign Minister Juan Ramón de la Fuente reaffirmed both nations' cooperation on security matters.
Los gobiernos de México y Estados Unidos,
the governments of Mexico and the United States reaffirm our cooperation on security matters, which is based on the principles of reciprocity, respect for sovereignty and territorial integrity, shared and differentiated responsibility, as well as mutual trust.
Responsabilidad compartida y diferenciada.
In a joint statement, Washington and Mexico City said they have established high-level implementation groups that will meet regularly to follow up on mutual commitments and actions taken within their own countries.
The aim is to work together to dismantle transnational organized crime through enhanced cooperation between our respective national security and law enforcement institutions and judicial authorities. Additionally, we are working to address the illegal movement of people across the border. This cooperation through specific and immediate actions will strengthen the security along our shared border, halt the trafficking of fentanyl and other illicit drugs, and stop arms trafficking.
Sheinbaum and her aides have been trying to cooperate with the Trump administration on major issues, notably counter-narcotics efforts and limits on migration. But they are also trying to project resistance to what many Mexicans consider to be bullying by an American leader. Sheinbaum also aims to show that her administration is willing to investigate powerful political figures in Mexico who have been linked to the drug trade. TikTok star and singer Esmeralda Ferrer-Garibay, her husband Roberto Carlos Gil Licea, along with 2 children, son Gael Santiago and 7-year-old daughter Regina, were found murdered inside a pickup truck in Guadalajara. According to a New York Post report, the local authorities said they were discovered wrapped in plastic and thrown in their pickup truck following the cartel-style execution. In a press release, prosecutor Alfonso Gutierrez Santillan said,
They were murdered inside the abandoned gray Ford Ranger in Guadalajara on August 22nd. While the forensic results are not yet in, the ballistic and blood evidence almost certainly confirmed they were murdered at that location.
According to the Latin Times, the investigators used surveillance footage to follow the truck's path back to a local auto repair shop, where they found bloodstains, shell casings, and ballistic evidence suggesting the family was probably killed at that location before being transported elsewhere. According to Diario de Yucatan, 2 men at an auto repair shop were initially detained but later released due to a lack of evidence. In a startling development, they were abducted by armed individuals just minutes after leaving the prosecutor's office. The 2 men had reportedly met with 2 acquaintances outside when they were ambushed. 3 of the 4 individuals were taken, while 1 managed to escape and remains at large. Prosecutor Blanca Trujillo told reporters that the attackers had waited for over 2 hours before launching the assault, indicating it was a coordinated operation. The identities of the family were officially confirmed on August 28th, with reports from Mexican outlet El Financiero indicating that the husband was likely the primary target in the killings. Ferrer-Garibay was known for showcasing a seemingly extravagant lifestyle on social media, where she regularly posted videos flaunting designer items like Dior, Gucci, and Louis Vuitton, as well as luxury vehicles, cosmetic procedures, and high-end vacations to her audience of over 44,000 TikTok followers. In several posts, she lip-synced to narco corridos, a controversial genre of Mexican ballads that romanticize drug cartel life, while hinting that her husband had ties to such criminal organizations. One widely shared video, which included the caption, "Advantages of having a narco boyfriend," alongside a shot of her with a Gucci handbag, amassed nearly 140,000 views. At this time, it remains unclear whether the family's murder was in retaliation for Ferrer-Garibay's social media presence. Speculation instead points to the husband's business dealings, specifically in vehicle sales and tomato farming in the state of Michoacán, as a possible motive, suggesting he may have been targeted by organized crime. The family had recently relocated to Guadalajara in search of better job prospects, having left Michoacán, a region described by the US State Department as one of Mexico's most dangerous.